Subscribe World Action and Reaction News, warn and press bell button for getting notification of all future updates. Aircraft carriers still popular with powerful navies around the world. Aircraft carriers are 100,000 tons of diplomacy, as Henry Kissinger once said. They provide great political strength as mobile air bases since they allow for maritime supremacy and even strikes deep inside an enemy's territory. And despite growing criticism of their real efficiency, and alleged vulnerability, maritime powers are more than ever betting on them, especially in Asia. The foremost critic against them is their apparent unfitness for today's asymmetric conflicts. A report by the Royal United Services Institute, a British military think tank, pointed out last year that Western governments often find themselves using $70,000 weapons fired from aircraft that cost $30,000 an hour to fly, and projected from a $3 billion aircraft carrier, to destroy a Toyota pickup that might be optimistically valued at $10,000. Then is the problem of their growing vulnerability. The same report claimed that nowadays a missile costing much less than £500,000 could at least disable a British £3 billion aircraft carrier. And such anti-ship capabilities are not only mastered by great powers. Iran's Khalil-Fars missiles, for example, are thought capable of doing the job. The foremost critic against them is their apparent unfitness for today's asymmetric conflicts. A report by the Royal United Services Institute, a British military think tank, pointed out last year that Western governments often find themselves using $70,000 weapons fired from aircraft that cost $30,000 an hour to fly, and projected from a $3 billion aircraft carrier, to destroy a Toyota pickup that might be optimistically valued at $10,000. Then is the problem of their growing vulnerability. The same report claimed that nowadays a missile costing much less than £500,000 could at least disable a British £3 billion aircraft carrier. And such anti-ship capabilities are not only mastered by great powers. Iran's Khalil-Fars missiles, for example, are thought capable of doing the job. The growing threat of Russian and Chinese hypersonic weapons is making this even more relevant. Michael Griffin, the Pentagon's new Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, recently stated that when the Chinese deploy a tactical or regional hypersonic system, they will hold at risk our carrier battle groups. They will hold at risk our entire surface fleet. So are aircraft carriers just not worth the risk anymore? Apparently not. The aircraft carrier continues to be relevant, U.S. Secretary of the Navy Richard Spencer told Congress earlier this month. The U.S. Navy is by far the world's most powerful. It also has the world's second largest air force, behind the U.S. Air Force itself. In addition to the 11 aircraft carriers it currently operates, including the 10 88,000 tons Nimitz-class carriers, the world's most massive, it's currently procuring an additional 4, brand new 100,000-ton Gerald Ford class. The U.S. aircraft carriers, with the French one, and the Brazilian one, formerly operated by the French Navy, are the only Catobar-equipped, catapult-assisted takeoff but arrested recovery, ones in service. All others are Stobar-equipped, short takeoff but arrested recovery, meaning no catapult but a ski jump deck instead. France and the US are also the only navies operating nuclear-propelled aircraft carriers. The US isn't the only one that is still betting on such platforms. Virtually every traditional maritime power is looking into acquiring new carriers, or modernizing the ones they own. The UK, for example, recently introduced the 65,000 tons HMS Queen Elizabeth into service, and its HMS Prince of Wales should begin tests in 2019. In France, the Charles de Gaulle, currently undergoing planned maintenance, is supposed to stay in service until 2037, and possibly a few years more. As Admiral Prajuk, French Navy COS, recently reminded Parliament, it took 19 years to build, and 17 years for the Queen Elizabeth, so it's just about time to start thinking about a replacement. Bad news: talks toward a second platform, in addition to the 42,500 tons Charles de Gaulle, were cut short by President Macron for now. Good news: the latest 2019 to 2025 Future Years Defence Law, LPM, has allocated around Euro 1.8 billion annually to define France's future major armament programs, including studies relative to a future aircraft carrier that could enter service after 2030. Russia also operates one single carrier, the Soviet-era 67,000-ton Admiral Kuznetsov, from which 420 aircraft interventions were recently carried in Syria, and is looking into plans for a future 90,000 to 100,000 tons carrier, dubbed Project 23,000 or Sturm, to be included in Russia's 2019 to 2025 armament program, that could compete, by its weight and dimensions, with the American Ford-class ships. In addition, emerging military powers also believe they are critical to their navy's efficiency. China, of course, is the first of them. Beijing has made the modernization of its navy a political priority, as recently reminded by Xi Jinping himself during the China's People's Liberation Army Navy Plan parade, to which 1,000 soldiers, 48 ships, and 76 aircraft took part on April 12. Aircraft carriers are at the center of these modernization plans. As of today, China only operates one, the 67,000-ton Liaoning, CV-16, an Admiral Kuznetsov-class carrier, twin to Russia's one, that was bought from Ukraine back in 1998. But in March, Beijing launched an aircraft carrier manufacturing program to bring up to 6 the number of platforms operated by the plan, though very little detail was given about it. Work on the third ship has already begun and, according to Defense News, satellite observations suggest that it may be Katobar-equipped. Also surprising, the China Shipbuilding Industry Corp., which is in charge of the program, said they were also working on nuclear propulsion technologies. Many fear China's ambition of becoming the undisputable regional leader in Southeast Asia and its prime blue water navy, especially its first regional rival, India. The Indian Navy has actually been operating aircraft carriers since the 1960s. It currently operates a reconstructed Soviet-era Kiev-class carrier, 45,000 tons Vikramaditya, and will soon operate a second one, Indian-built, 40,000 tons Vikrant as of 2020. Another 65,000 Vikrant class, INS Vishal, is expected in 2 decades. Such a weight difference between two ships of the same class is indeed unusual. According to rumors within the Indian Navy, this one could be Katobar-equipped and nuclear-propelled, but none of this is confirmed. Others, China's neighbors, are wary enough by the Chinese Navy to go for amphibious ship, Japan for instance, which hasn't operated any since World War II. Under a $3 billion plan, Tokyo would convert 2 248-meter Izumo-class helicopter carriers to handle US F-35B jump jet fighters. The Royal Thai Navy has also been upgrading its carrier, 11 400-ton Spanish-built HTMS Chukri Nerubit, although it reportedly spends most of its time inactive due to high operational costs. It was sometime rumored that Singapore was looking into its own carrier plans. In 2001, its Changi naval base was upgraded, entirely at its expense, with a deep draft pier that is capable of supporting USN aircraft carriers. Then in 2010 Singapore Technologies Marine unveiled its plans for a 14,500-ton Endurance 160 warship, whose flight deck could allegedly also support F-35B jump jet fighters, but these plans were never carried out. In any case, the Asia-Pacific seems bound to be the main playground for Navy's big boys, or big toys, for the years to come.
Thanks for watching. I hope you like this news. Please share your views in comment box. Please like and share this video. Press subscribe button and bell for auto update to you regarding my channel World Action and Reaction News. Warn.